Hi, roommate parents. So I wanted to make another blog post where I had a chance to talk about our Revolutionary Families unit. You guys came by for Core Tour. You were able to see some of their presentations. I'm sure at this point you're aware that the writing exists on the websites and you know how to direct your children to log into the website so that you can read it. At this point, I think you are fully on board. We do a lot of historical simulations in the junior division. We try to do one big simulation on an annual basis, and we try to find opportunities throughout the school year to do smaller simulations to help the kids experience specific time periods and to think about how they would have acted and thought at that time. It's really great. The kids engage with the material on such an amazingly deep level. Now, my very first year here, we did this cute little simulation about the Pilgrims and the Mayflower, and it was adorable. They at one point had to stand in a very small square to simulate the fact that the Mayflower was such a tiny vessel. And while they were in this tiny square, they'd have to do things like perform like athletic and intellectual tasks that were made more difficult by their very close proximity. We would splash water on them while they were standing in the tiny square. We would pretend to be whales and we'd bump up against them. And if anybody fell off the boat, then one of their Mayflower travelers died. When they got there, this is really cute. You'll love this. They had to cut out from construction paper logs, and then they had to use glue to assemble little house patterns. And every time that they assembled a house pattern in this way, their pilgrims, their settlers, would have built another house for the winter time. And they only had a certain amount of time to do this. And their future performance was, really inhibited if they didn't have enough houses. It was really cute. But it didn't feel academic. I mean, is that too strict a word? It felt really pointless. Fun, engaging, but pointless. So we went forward thinking about simulations a little bit differently, and we've created a lot of really interesting simulations. Our Oregon Trail simulation, for example, if they gave an award every year for the best historical simulation in a 3, 4, 5 classroom, I really think that we'd be up for some sort of a trophy. I really do. But even that one has had me really thinking in the last couple of years, and this is where I start getting to Revolutionary Families, because during the simulation, the kids are making decisions. They're making choices, and these choices and decisions have real consequences, which is exactly what I want to have them do. But it's entirely possible for a group to make the correct decisions and the correct choices and to get all the way to Oregon in one piece, completely unscathed by the environment, by anything, really. And that makes such a terrible story. I mean, if their goal is to avoid negative consequences and nothing bad ever happens, then it's like they got there without anything happening. You know what I mean? So I started thinking about simulations a little bit differently. And I got so excited about it, and I wanted to make all these changes, but the Oregon Trail simulation, which is actually at the end of this year, was just too far away. I had to do something before then. I started to think about things from a storytelling perspective. So in a story, you need bad things to happen. Otherwise, the characters, they don't change. It's not challenging. If you don't give them obstacles to overcome, then it doesn't mean anything when they get there. So we designed a simulation where instead of having to make the correct choice to avoid negative consequences, we let them choose between negative consequences. And I found that the kids have an almost manic glee when it comes to deciding exactly how terrible they're going to make things for their family. And that's totally historically appropriate. They can discuss the scene, they can shape their writing such that the horrible things that happen reflect their understanding of the time. I like how when they're reading things in our language arts literature books, they can read about these horrible things happening to the characters, and it kind of gives them ideas of things that they can have happen to their family members. And I think that's really interesting. And the next part of it, though, is that they can think about their writing, and they can think about how they need these bad things to happen, because then they're allowed to have really good things happen. So that was the germ of the entire Revolutionary Families unit. The idea of getting to choose between bad things happening to their family members. Thank you for joining me this week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope it wasn't too long.